Hello and welcome to this prophetic channel, Redeeming Thunder. I'm here to give you a prophetic word that is for this January 2026. Now, this prophetic word was given to me on 8/2/2025, and this is chapter 50, part 1 of the Ordained Spouse series. And this is in regards to the prodigal spouse. Okay? So for those who have been waiting, you've been waiting, praying, standing for your prodigal spouse to return to the Father, the Heavenly Father, and to you. Some of you have been living with your prodigal spouse, and it has been quite hectic, struggling times of it almost may be easier if they weren't in the home. Okay? And some of you have been waiting for your prodigal spouse to return, and it almost seems easier for you if they were in the home. At least you knew where they were and what they were up to, but they are not. Okay? Now, the grass isn't greener on the other side. Okay? For either of you dealing with any kind of circumstance of a prodigal spouse, it's been difficult. It's been very challenging. But there's keys that I'm giving you in this hour of how you can assist with a smooth transition and how you can assist with breakthrough. This is prophetic word for Hebraic year 5786, divine connections. Okay? And there are reasons why with this prophetic dream, I'm going to explain to you there are reasons why it was so hectic, chaotic. Okay? It was not just maybe a spirit of pride situation, a spirit of Leviathan situation. It was that others were interfering with your relationship. Okay? And that is why we are on this journey of my supernatural diaries, to learn how to set healthy boundaries, to ascend. And sometimes you ascend without bringing everybody with you, because they were not going to change, and they were not going to evolve, and they were not going to support your relationship and or pray for you. Instead, they were going to pray against it and or push through some dark magic, some black magic, and or some witchcraft. Okay? So we're here to break those chains. We're here to bind the enemy's attacks. We are here to dismantle the arrows of the enemy over your marriage, over your prodigal spouse. Okay? And some of these, so when I talked about Leviathan spirit, it also is other spirits can be involved. Your prodigal spouse could have been dealing with the Jezebel spirit. Could have had foundational blockages. Okay? And that's why you were the chosen one to pray. Yahuwah gave you a prodigal spouse on purpose, because he knew that you were going to be standing for them and praying for them when nobody else was. Okay? You were chosen to rise above and to have faith like no other. Okay? Because faith moves mountains. Not a little bit of faith. A whole bunch of faith. And what you needed to do is stand for the redemptive plan for your spouse. Okay? Now, please get into the secret place so that the Most High can confirm with you if your prodigal spouse is the one to return. Because on this channel, we do speak about counterfeits, and we do speak about ordained spouse, and we do speak about prodigal children, prodigal spouse, and also those that don't return. And the judgment that comes, okay? In the dream, there was a woman and some other ladies who were up for a contest on who was going to be part of a production. An ancestor was there. That's key right there. Please pay attention. She seemed eager for this woman to get chosen and to win, but was also somewhat delaying the process. I need you to pay attention right now, because some of you have been having a delay of your prodigal return, and some of you have had a delay of blessings coming into your life because someone is next to you who looks like they're cheering for you, okay? But secretly are siphoning the blessings, the virtues. Secretly, that person is being manipulative and has often been known as a monitoring spirit in several other dreams. And the family witch. Okay? So, please listen on, because some of you need to detach in order to see, detach from the wicked in order to see the breakthrough in your marriage. And that person's going to smile, and that person's going to giggle, and that person is going to be showing some loving attributes that look that they are sincere. But there is a history and revelations besides in your revelations of prophetic word, besides in your own life, history of patterns of they were not true. That person was not true. Okay? And you desperately want it to be so. Because maybe some of you don't have any other family other than that person. And if you exclude that person from your life, you probably won't have any other person to lean on. It might feel that way. It might be to that drastic measure that you had to expel some of these people from your life. Okay? Or many. Almost all. It's going to look scarce. And that's why it was hard, and that's why it's been a journey. And it may be the only person that has been helping you in the past. And that's why you didn't detach, because sometimes they would help, but sometimes they would cause strife. And sometimes they would help, but sometimes they would cause delay. Okay, well, please listen on, because, you know, the prodigal spouse that returns to you is not just going to be a better spouse to you. He's returning to the Heavenly Father. He's being obedient to Him. So really, this is a war. This is Yahuwah's battle, and this is a war for His salvation. Okay? That's way more important. All right, so let's listen on. As the group, as they were waiting in the tent, she was saying they're not here yet. So there was a productions group, maybe for, I don't know if it was for theater production or filming, you know, and autobiography or something. I'm not sure if it was just a quick interview or anything of the sort, okay? But she was looking out the window of the tent, okay? The doors of the tent, And she kept saying, they're not here yet. They're not here yet. And the woman inside the tent was trusting that she would give correct feedback. Okay? Okay, so what happened was, and really what happened was, they were outside for a good while waiting for the woman to come out of the tent. But the ancestor was in between the door of the tent, right? And so she kept saying, I got you, I'll let you know when. And the whole time she would look outside the doors of the tent and she saw them in the van. She saw them there, waiting for the woman, because she won the contest. So portraying compassion and portraying support, but it was false humility and false support. Okay? Back in the prior chapters, I was giving prophetic word regarding some people are going to want to come back into your life, and not everybody is sincere. Some of them are going to be love bombing, okay? And some of them are going to be sincere. But just a clear factor here. Think of individuals who have truly tried to destroy your life and remove blessings from your life and did achieve it in the past, okay? Then when wonderful things happen to you, they didn't clap for you. Let's say you found out you were pregnant. They didn't even say congratulations. They're just like, oh, okay? When you got a bonus income, money coming in, or your children were phenomenal at something, they didn't really clap for them either, and they didn't really clap for you. Okay? Let's say you got rewarded with something that's like monumental. Like there's no way anybody would be unhappy for you. It's just so like out of this world. You know that the Heavenly Father brought that gift to you from heaven. Okay? It's that obvious. Nothing of congrats. Just like deer in the headlights kind of stare. Like maybe repeating what was stated, but like nothing. You can hear crickets. You think that's odd, huh? But then maybe they're visiting you. They're showing up for dinner. They're bringing gifts to you. So you think, oh, though they do like me. No, sometimes people give you money and it's a witchcraft tactic to steal money and fortune from you. It's like a witchcraft trade. Okay? So you don't accept money just because it's freely given and you've never asked. It's a difference when you asked and you need to borrow some money for a little bit. But when someone just blatantly just, here's some money, it's a transaction that witches do to steal prosperity from somebody. Okay? All you have to do is use it. You have to reject it and not use it in order for it not to work. All right, so another clear sign, okay, that someone's been doing some black magic on you. Someone has been, that's close to you, okay? That's been doing some witchcraft on your relationship and does not repent, does not feel guilty, and does not repent from it, okay? It will come through on other things and other sabotages and influencing your significant other, okay, with unrighteous acts, with unrighteous conversations, okay, causing a lot of havoc, the continuous neglect, the continuous promises, but flaky, okay, And then there was a history. Let's say there was a history of all that. And then there was a separation that you did from that person because they knew that you had set some boundaries because they did something wrong and you made it known. And when they come back into your life and all of a sudden they're lavishing you with some gifts that you never asked, they came and they acted like everything was A-okay and normal. And they have never, ever apologized to you for any wrongdoing. I'm talking about it. They could have been abusive to you, okay? They could have been incredibly abusive to you in the past. So there's like so many incidences. They could have been faulty, and it was quite known and it was obvious, okay? But never did they come and say sorry to you and then change that behavior. They just basically acted like everything was normal. And part of their abuse that they would do is gaslighting and stonewalling and crazy making. And then suddenly they're just back in your life and then just want to act like, have access to everything you have and everybody who's around you, and then behave like they'll just act kind and hopefully you run with it. And many of you have, okay? Because you're very loving and forgiving and you have fruits of the Spirit. But in this hour, the Most High is trying to say you still have to have a hedge of protection and you still have to have boundaries. The hedge of protection is in the scriptures explains there are thorns on either side. So you're inside the hedge, right? And so if you try to get out of that hedge of protection, you're going to get pricked, right? And whoever tries to get in is going to get pricked as well. So it's not just for the enemies and for the wicked to not get in. It's for you too to be using wisdom and not try to climb out of there because you're going to get pricked. It's for you to remember. It's for you to recall. It's for you to use high discernment. And I'm not saying, or basically one could say, not everybody just has to say sorry and then they, the whole process of sorry. Some people do say sorry and they are not sincere. And they keep treating that person the same way, but behind their back. Okay? Sometimes it's like that. But guess what? You have ascended. And you know deep down inside a gut feeling that something's off. Okay? That it's just not right. Something's off. That means that person's still up to no good. Behind closed doors, when they leave your house, they just use it as a monitoring spirit situation. Okay? So you have to use discernment. Did this person very much change or did they not? Now, on another angle of this dream that I'm going to explain further on, they're at the tent, and this is a specific tent that I'm going to elaborate furthermore what it means. Then the other part is where it gets a little bit more dark is some of you dealing with prodigal children and or prodigal spouses, they've been on the dark end of things. They've been pessimistic or they've been in a certain temperament that's not pleasing to the Most High. Okay? And when you live with someone that's like that, they sort of can be dragging other people down, right? And so you're on that journey with them. So it feels quite harsh. Okay? The storm is hitting everybody, not just the individual who's making very poor choices, especially if they're the leader of the house. Okay? And so some of these people that are prodigals had to relearn new habits. They had to ascend. They had to mature. Not just spiritually, like mentally mature. They had to not want that life anymore. Not speak the same way, not think the same way. And it took a minute for these prodigals to understand that their way of life was not the correct path. It was difficult. It was a maze of that. This prophetic word is explaining that your prodigal spouse, along with the family, is entering mourning. When I'm saying mourning, not mourning like sad, I'm talking about sunshine, sunrise, the morning. You're exiting the night, the darkness, and you're entering. And your prodigal spouse is entering into a new beginning. So, where I left off from the dream was, then the ancestor portrayed anger that they left without giving a chance. But she knew all along that the van with the productions group were outside waiting for a really long time. And she's acting, oh, that's not fair. Okay? But really, she knew. Okay? That's what Yahuwah is highlighting in this hour. Okay, so they left the tent and walked by other tents. And one tent, they were making black cat idols. So they were like these, like those horse rocking chairs. They're kind of like life size almost, like pony level. So it kind of looked like an enlarged cat that had been made out of paper mache. Okay, and they painted it black, and they added fur on it, and it was on this little cart that had wheels on it. Okay, and people were buying these toys and pulling them wherever they were going. So they're on this journey of life, and they're walking. So when you're in a dream and you're walking and you're not in a car driving or on a motorcycle or anything like that, or a bike, you're going at a very slow pace, and you're still on the journey of life, but it's like stagnated a little bit. There's a delay on it. Okay? And then there's some heavy weight with it because whoever you're bringing with. Okay? This dream is explaining that something in particular. So this ancestor wanted the woman to get one of those cat idols. But the woman didn't want it. It looked very creepy. Okay? And as she was rejecting it and saying incredibly, 1,000% no, right? Somebody else had walked right in front of them alongside that journey and was dragging that cat idol. And they had different eyes, but usually all black. And when we reached a location where there were many cats, okay, there were friendly cats, but there was just too many cats to take care of, and they were all different colors. Okay, so suddenly the group arrived at a campground and car parked, and a big slope where there was water that flowed from. It currently looked dry, and so basically it was like a water area, but it was dried up. So we're in bank, we're like a crater, but dry. Okay, dried up. It currently looked dry, and then the ancestor wanted to stay there and wanted to camp. She didn't want to go on the journey. So everyone else got in the car and they drove off. The woman and the rest of the family arrived at a fairgrounds, standing near the car, and she had told her husband that she's going to go to the store right up the street. That day was Shabbat, and she wanted to make sure she had the challah bread, even though they were out traveling, So he said, okay. So she walked up to the store, and she went to go get the challah bread at this, it's one of those fancy organic shops. You know what I'm talking about, like a New Seasons or like a Whole Foods. All right. And she went to go get the bread and went up to the the self checkout, excuse me. And was waiting in line to scan her food, right? She was waiting in line for it to be her turn. It was finally her turn, and she went and started scanning the bread first. She was ready to pay at the register $10.38, because when she went to go pick up the bread at the shelf in the bread station in the store, that's how much she saw it cost. Oh, excuse me. She saw that the bread on the little at the stand, it cost $8.49. But when she scanned it, it registered to $10.38. So she saw on the camera, you know how there's a camera at the self-checkout that watches everything that you do? When she looked at it, she saw on the side little platform table that there was a 6-pack of orange juice and a sandwich or something wrapped in wax paper. And she looked at the scanner, and yes, in fact, there was a lady that was standing next to her, ready to use the scanner next. And the camera showed a rewind of a few seconds, and she saw the lady that was next to her that was wearing a blue dress with the yellow collar embroidery, and she had blonde hair in a bun. She had placed her own items on the scanner instead of the little rack that was right next to the scanner at the self-checkout. And so this woman was trying to call over the clerk so they can help delete some of those items that she did not want. She only wanted the challah bread, right? So the clerk was busy with customers, so this woman just wanted to head out. She planned on just paying the bill as is, because she just wanted to leave the store. So she was going to pay for the other woman's items that left him there. Okay. Suddenly, she receives a phone call. So she steps away from the register to the side to answer the phone call. And when she saw, when she saw, when you someone walks near the front door, sliding doors, they slide open. Okay, it's like prompted. She saw the entryway of that store, and she looked at her phone and it said unknown. And when she said hello, right? Who is this? It was a DHS worker who was trying to find out more info. And she asked, what is this about? Okay, not nervous, just simply herself, confident, and he began to say that one of her sons was at a party and heard a gunshots, and he was with another child. Okay, that is the other child that is part of that his father's girlfriend's son. Okay, and so he had mentioned that she had mentioned that, well, that happened at their house, and she has no information of this scenario, and so he should reach out to them and gather more information. And so, because that scenario never occurred over here, and it was evident because of the connection that that son had with the other little boy, which had to do with the other individuals. So somehow it was evident that it was Sunday evening, and this mother in the dream doesn't have her child on Sunday evenings. So that was clear that she didn't know any information of that and was not involved in any of that. And it was clear that no one got hurt. So she, again, advised to speak to the other parent. And then they hung up the phone call. Then went back to the self-checkout, and the items were removed from the scanner, and only the challah bread was there. And she still paid $10.49 and left the store. Then she walked over and she saw the husband, as I'm watching this woman walk over, right? She saw her look at the lady's husband, or I saw it, excuse me, and she saw that the husband was wearing a race jacket, the car race jacket, next to the mango fruit stand, talking to an officer, giving him a report that his wife was missing. And so this woman walked up to him, and he was so happy to see her, and called off the missing report. I guess he didn't remember that she told him that she was going to go get the challah bread and go to the store, right? So some of that has a lot to do with some drama that is occurring, okay? Now, the next scene was the family went to a building that looked like a casino, and it was a maze room. So they entered, right, initially, but then went directly into another room. And I recall that it had red walls, like maroon red, and then they had red carpet with some kind of design. So it kind of looked like they had some machines for gambling onto the right, okay? And so the husband initially wanted to go in. And so they went in together. And when they entered in, there was a heavy evil aura. There was a little bit of light at the bar setting, and there was no windows anywhere. It kind of felt a little claustrophobic being in that room. And the lights were dim, and people were just standing around looking dazed or drunk. And they were just standing around. Now, so when I'm explaining this part, they're in a room now. Okay? They were just standing around and like next to doors. kind of looking haunted. Okay? So they went through this door, and that door was a closet. And they opened another door, and that door was not a real door. And then they found a door that led to a hallway. And people were wandering around and trying to find the exit. Inside that room, though, was a different look, and it was dark in there. The walls were dark gray. The carpet was very dark gray. The molding around the door frames was like black. The doors were dark, almost black. Okay? People were wandering around trying to find the exit, and said they and the woman said she wanted to leave. She couldn't, she's going through this. It's looking like a maze now. Each door they attempted to get out of, it led them nowhere. He said he wanted to stay and chill out there. Well, there was like nowhere to even chill out. People were just standing around. There's no couches. There was no tables. Okay? I said, why? There's nothing here but random people high and drugged up. Okay. Then he said he wanted to stay and wasn't really helping to find the exit. So the couple, they went through the hallways and through the door, and each room was gloomy, and there's nowhere to sit. People were just laying down on the floor or standing like zombies. And finally, through going through the whole entire maze, the woman found their way back to the casino, but not the way out of that room and out of the casino, right? So he said he wanted to go back in. It's almost like a haunted, you know how people go for Halloween, not those that don't celebrate Halloween, but you know how there's haunted maze or a haunted house, and it's dark through the hallways. Okay, it kind of was like a type of situation. I've not ever gone through a haunted house. I've not ever gone through a haunted maze, but that's what I imagine it probably is like, right? He, and then she says, I don't want to go back in. It's lame. It's stupid. It's a demonic maze with demonic people in there, and I do not want to go back in. He enforced it, but this time they took their children in with them. And the woman says, I want to get out. I felt that there was an evil presence following and lurking all around, right? Even stronger now. And she wanted to get out this time. She was a little bit more panicked, and it probably was because she had children there. Seeing all of that and seeing those people just, staring off in the distance and just acting all drugged up, right? They were struggling to get out. Each door led to a hallway and a dead end, and she was feeling very claustrophobic again. And she said, I want to get out. I want to get out now. And they went through a door that led them to a room which had seating, some gray couches, seating area, and the light was on in there. And the lady in the blue dress with the yellow collar and the blonde hair bun was sitting there. Remember the lady that was at the Whole Foods store and placed those items there? Okay, she was sitting there. She was right there. So it became a waiting room with light, with white walls. And when she looked out into the distance a bit, there was a 3-span window space on one wall, and there was a door on the right. So in that moment, the woman could tell she was near the exit. And this lady from the grocery store was sitting. She wore that yellow blue dress, right? This woman said, "I want to get out," and she saw the door. And the lady in the blue and yellow dress said, "It's almost time." The door opened. After she said it was almost time, like a few seconds passed, and then the door swung open. And there was an even brighter light outside. She could see green meadow, and the entire family began to walk out. And when I saw the family walk out of that waiting room, the dream ended. Okay, and when I was asking the Most High, what is this dream about? Trying to figure out what the last waiting room meant, suddenly I saw a scene with a bright flash, with lightning flash, zoom by. Okay, and then on 11/24/2025, in the sub days, the Most High says, he says this little tidbit, bits of information. Well, he puts me in a sleep for like 1 to 2 seconds. He says, "You have your baby. I did that for you." So what he's talking about is the Esther mantle. Some of you are turning into queens in this hour. Okay? And the enemy tried to sabotage that mantle, take it away, destroy it, even threaten with, death. Okay? Like physically on earth even. And you guys have survived quite a bit of chaotic times. Okay? And that baby is a humongous baraka in your life, but it also represents a mantle. So the gift that he's giving you is not just a live child. Some of you were not pregnant and we did not give birth, right? But in the spirit, you gave birth to something, and it was the Esther mantle. Okay, so, and what is happening is the Esther mantle represents the ordained spouse, is being birthed. So when he's saying you have her, that you basically have the baby already. So the blessing has already been birthed. And that's phenomenal, because there was a stage where the individuals were the women were spiritually still pregnant with a promise, but now the baby's already here. So that's huge. Okay, so for explanation of what the orange juice stands for symbolically in a dream, biblical interpretation. Orange juice is very sweet. This means your current challenges will soon end in sweetness. Strength, blessings, growth, glory of Yahuwah, satisfaction he has done in life, building and goodness of life, prosperity and happiness. Buying food in the market represents getting basic needs in life, options and opportunities to choose from. Strive harder to meet the needs of your family and business, going to be fruitful and successful in endeavors. Pray that enemies to give back what they took from you. It's time to start that business. So in this moment, we're declaring and decreeing this prayer. Oh Yahuwah, show me the right things to do in life. In the name of Yahusha. Financial grace to finish and pursue my purpose. Locate me. in the name of Yahusha. Any food seller sent by the devil to bewitch me, die in the name of Yahusha. I refuse to buy things that will bring problems in my life and marriage in the name of Yahusha. And then I hear the Ruach HaKodesh say, Ika Shama A Ra Gashe. So when interpreting that from Hebrew, while praying in the Spirit, it means there exists, listen and obey to understand. Alas, the evil intentions, the wicked calamity intentions, and or the misery that you were enduring. Okay? Remember the dream, the part about being in that haunted maze. Prior to that, having connection with an ancestor that was sending forth delay, was sending forth, by just even spending time with the individual, was delaying, causing a bunch of delay, was trying to sabotage your future prosperity. Okay? Has in the past done some black magic and witchcraft. Okay? Has in the past prayed against the relationship, your marriage. Okay? So that's what he's talking about. Alas, the evil and misery intentions, the wicked calamity. Okay? To see, and then the part about Ra means to have a prophetic gift, to be able to see in the spirit, to perceive, to spiritually see. Okay? And he wants you to envision getting out of the rut. That's why there was a waiting period in the waiting room. Do you remember that? Yahuwah has been making some highways. And there was a time where another dream was that someone's in a waiting area in a cave. And this dream is explaining a waiting area in a waiting room. And there was windows which represent vision, divine intervention, divine assistance. That lady in the blonde hair bun with the blue and yellow dress, she was a divine destiny helper. Okay? Somebody interfered in heaven to assist you and your family and your prodigal spouse to see the light, to get out of that cycle of haunted maze. And then Kashi stands for rainbow promise. It actually means the word bow, which is derivative of rainbow. Okay? Nothing is too hard for the Most High to create. Okay? Now I'm going to break down what the the amount, the cash amount, right, that was paid for the bread, 1049. It means Beth Shear. It means house of rock, house of the rock. So this is the prayer that you're going to say with me. Father, let me experience abundance, peace, joy in my life today in the name of Yahusha. Your arrows, and then now you're canceling something. You arrows of failure and setback in my business backfire in the name of Yahusha. Spirit of possibility and prosperity, possess me now in the name of Yahusha. Declare this: I evacuate every evil good I have eaten in the name of Yahusha. Okay, so remember, then the bread was 1038. House of Mecca. House of Mecca, historical background. The name preserves memory of the neighboring kingdom of Makkah, Deuteronomy 3:14, Joshua 12:5. By David's reign, Beth Makkah was a Israelite possession, yet not enough of a border stronghold for a fugitive to hope for an asylum. and the divided monarchy, it became a pawn between Israel and Aram Damascus and was eventually overrun by Tiglath-Pileser III. So, strategic and military significance. Refuge and fortification. Sheba chose the city precisely because its walls were reputably formidable. Border control. Whoever held Beth Makkah controlled the passes between Galilee and Syria. Trade and diplomacy. The site monitored caravans traveling from Tyre and Sidon towards Damascus, giving it economic leverage. Okay, so this is the part of this is where the key comes into play. Theological and ministry applications. Providence in politics. The Lord, Yahuwah, uses a single wise woman to secure the city, to protect innocent lives, and preserve the Davidic throne, demonstrating that Yahuwah governs national cries through unexpected instruments. Wisdom over violence. Another key. Beth Makkah's deliverance illustrates Proverbs 15:1. A gentle answer turns away wrath. So the way that the prodigal spouses are going to return is with a gentle tone. Okay? Especially if it's the husband. Why? Because the husband is usually the leader of the house. And so to encourage them to return is not with a sassy attitude. Okay? A feisty Latina attitude. It's not with that. Okay? It's with loving kindness, and maybe don't say anything in that moment and belittle in front of people, especially. Okay? So let's use this divine wisdom to fortify the city, because what Yahuwah is doing in this hour is he's giving you a providence. He's giving you land. He's telling you how to fortify it, and it's like central port. It's a port, basically. Limits of rebellion. Sheba's beheading outside the walls drives home the truth that no fortress can shield unrepentant rebellion from divine justice. Proverbs 21:30. Abel Beth Makkah, a mother in Israel. 2 Samuel 20:19, hinting that the settlement was once a center of counsel. Pilgrims reported extensive ruins still called Abel, preserving memory of the biblical town. Beth Makkah was far more than a geographic footnote. Its location made it a perennial flashpoint where international ambitions and covenant history converged. The narratives surrounding it affirm Yahuwah's sovereign ability to steer political upheaval toward his redemptive purposes and highlight the abiding power of wisdom to secure peace within the gates. Remember that bread was initially $8.49, so the Hebrew word Ishtador, number 849, it means effort, endeavor, striving. So confidence in Yahuwah's overruling. Even when human investigations appear to hinder the gospel, Yahuwah can overturn embargoes and reopen doors. Philippians 1:12. So the Strong's Hebrew 849 points to a deliberate, authoritative search of historical records. In Ezra, it becomes a tool both for opposition and for eventual confirmation of Yahuwah's plan. The word reminds believers that careful inquiry, anchored in reliable testimony, serves Yahuwah's larger narrative, a narrative ultimately upheld by the flawless record of his own word. So he's creating your environment, your home, and symbolizing it with the house of the rock. You're building your house on the rock, in other words. It's a place in Judah. And that's strong number 1049. Beth Tesur. And okay, it expresses a verse with that word Nehemiah, in Nehemiah 3:16. After him repaired Nehemiah the son of Azbuk, the ruler of half part of Bethzur, unto the place over against the sepulchres of David, into the pool that was made, and unto the house of the mighty. Now the Matthew Henry Concise Commentary shares a bit more insight on what's going on. The walls of Jerusalem and heaps of rubbish represent the disparate state of the world around, while the number and the malice of those who hindered the building give some faint idea of the enemies we have to contend with while executing the work of Yahuwah. Everyone must begin at home, for it is by getting the work of Yahuwah advanced in our own souls that we shall best contribute to the good of the church of Yahusha. May the Yahuwah thus stir up the hearts of his people to lay aside their petty disputes and to disregard their worldly interest, compared with building the walls of Jerusalem and defending the cause of truth and godliness against the assaults of avowed enemies. Okay. There exists a messenger sending someone for someone. In this manner, perceive and see, have hope. Your Heavenly Father will do it. Ika shala ga si tika. So at the end of the day, what it's saying is there was a rebuilding that needed to be established. Okay? Rebuilding of the walls. And it's taking everyone to rebuild, not just the prodigal spouse. Okay? Everyone to contribute and rebuild of the walls, because now there's divine assistance occurring. Someone came, and it was due to the Yahuwah, the Most High, who turned it around for good. Okay? He intervened. Okay? He saw effort, he saw endeavor, he saw striving. Number 849, when she initially went to go buy the challah bread. Okay? That's how much initially it cost. And when he sees that effort, that striving, that's when he brings forth his divine counsel, his wisdom, and literally destiny helpers to get your family where it needs to be. Okay? And it's on the house of the rock. Hallelujah. Thank you to the Most High. This is wonderful news. Stay tuned for more prophetic word regarding the prodigal spouse returning. Shalom.